Panic unfolds, you're on the pier, and the ship is pulling away. It's every cruiser's worst nightmare. And it actually happens more often than cruise ships advertise. And the outcome is completely different depending on how you miss the ship. So today we're going to go over what happens next and how survivable it would be. My name is Shane with MapBound and welcome to the channel. Have you ever missed the ship or gotten a close call? Not only would I love to hear your stories, but it can also help make other people's trips safer by hearing other people's stories and scenarios so they can prevent it from happening to them. Now, in the first 5 minutes, the ship's not going to leave instantly. There is a process. What actually happens is final boarding time has passed, but not the sail away. And one of the first things the crew is going to do is do a security sweep of the entire ship. Then their cruise line is going to have to get port clearance paperwork. And in conjunction, the gangway will be removed. Now keep in mind, they will usually attempt to find passengers in the terminal first. And always keep in mind, the ship leaves at all aboard time, not departure time, usually 30 to 60 minutes earlier. Now, if you booked an excursion through the cruise line, the tour is going to wait for you. Also, in the rare occasion that they can't get you to the port in time before the ship has to leave, then the cruise line will arrange transportation to the next port. It's not always that the ship doesn't want to wait for you, but because of laws and regulations at certain ports, they may not be able to wait for you. But now you miss the ship altogether. What happens next? Your belongings are going to stay in your cabin. And if it was a cruise line booked excursion, you're going to be under their supervision during the whole thing. But if it was a private excursion, you would be on your own. Now, if you miss the ship and you're on a private excursion, here are some of the things to expect. Because now it becomes travel logistics fast. What you immediately want to do is contact the port agent. The number can usually be found on your cruise document. Now on the ship, the crew already knows that you're not on board. Most of the time, they're going to give you your ID and your passport to the port office. And if the office is closed, I definitely go there as soon as possible. But of course, if not, call the port immediately. But then here comes the big headache. You got to arrange on your dime how to either get to the next port if they'll let you back on, or how you're getting home. Now, just keep in mind, there's a lot of moving parts here too as well. You could either be taking a ferry, a flight, a train, additional overnight hotel stays, and then customs reentry. Missing the ship instantly turns you into an international travel planner, which is one of the reasons why it's not recommended to do a private excursion if you're not an experienced traveler. Missing the ship actually happens more than you think. And the biggest reason why it does happen is totally unexpected. Think about it this way. A group arrives late after a private excursion because they were having a parade you didn't know about at the port of call and is causing traffic delays. You arrive at the port and the ship, it's already gone. And in some cases, someone will hand you port information and the next port of call if you were to rejoin the cruise. And then you have to scramble to book a last minute flight and hope there's actual seats. You finally rejoin the cruise, but after 2 days later and spending hundreds if not thousands of dollars. You didn't do anything crazy, and most of the time this plan would have worked, but you didn't know about a parade scheduled that day. Most people who missed the ship didn't take a big risk. They took a small one too late. Now that you missed the ship, this is what you should expect. Usually the crew will pack up your belongings for you, and then they will store it in a secure location on the ship. Now, depending on certain factors, you can either have your luggage given to you at the next port of call, or you may have to get the luggage after the cruise is ended. So you don't lose your luggage, but you do lose your schedule. But one thing you really should consider is that your passport and medications, if you didn't bring them with you, becomes a real big issue. What matters isn't your suitcase, it's what you didn't carry with you. Now, with this being the case, I have heard so many people say, bring your passports, medications with you, or leave your passports and medications in the safe in your cabin. Leave a comment below what you do. Another key factor is how hard is it to catch back up with the cruise? This is going to depend entirely on the itinerary. For instance, a Mediterranean cruise, you're going to have a lot of ports close together with a lot of connecting flights or trains that are within short distance. The harder scenario, now it doesn't have to be in a country that's poorer or have less infrastructure. It can also be in richer countries. For instance, if you were to do a cruise to Alaska and missed a port, those ports of call are really hard to get to, especially on the fly. This makes it that these ports of call have limited transportation. Less options means it's going to be harder for you to find a flight if there are any. And with an Alaska cruise, usually you don't have port after port after port. Usually you have a sea day or two in between each port of call. So depending on the itinerary schedule, this can make and break whether or not you're able to rejoin your cruise or not, or if you end up just getting to the last port of call. So keep in mind, catching up with your cruise isn't necessarily about distance, it's really about that port's access to transportation. And if you do miss the ship, the real costs can add up very quickly. You have to think about getting last minute flights, last minute hotel stays. Just a keynote on last minute hotel stays, I once had to stay on the stairs in Luxembourg. Our hotel plans fell through and we were trying to find a hotel stay at the last minute in Luxembourg. Couldn't find one. My friend and I ended up sleeping on our luggage on stairs in Luxembourg. Keep in mind, I was younger. This was early on in my travel days, and I am much more responsible now. But use my story as an example so that you know that you're not always going to be able to get a hotel last minute at any port. There could also be international fees that you didn't expect. And keep in mind, the cruise fare will not be refunded. And if you did get travel insurance, depending on why you were late, also depends on whether or not they're going to pay your claim. For instance, if you missed the ship because you were sleeping in late, more than likely travel insurance won't cover it. But if you missed the ship because of travel delays due to weather, then in travel insurance, it usually will kick in. Now, for me, the financial cost is stressful, but the stress and the panic that you're going to have for missing the ship, to me, that's going to be my biggest concern. I mean, think about it. You're at a port, you just had a great day on an excursion, and you come back and you miss the ship. I know me, I panic in the first time a scenario usually happens to me, but after that, I'm usually more calm and collective. In this scenario, I really hope there's never a story that I tell that is of me missing the ship. Panic isn't just going to come from missing the ship, but you also might be at a port of call that has a language barrier. In these kind of scenarios, usually people are going to want to ask people around, especially the locals who know what they're doing. And this can make it even more harder to do when there is a language barrier. And not only are you going to be in a panic state, but you're also going to be on a time crunch to either get back to the cruise at the next port of call or get home. And another big thing that happens is also people will start having a fear that they're going to miss the rest of their vacation. So even if people recover and get back on the ship, it could still mentally ruin your experience. So missing the ship isn't going to hurt just your wallet. It's overwhelming if you're not prepared in the rare case you miss the ship. Miss the ship once and your vacation turns into a travel nightmare. Here are 3 rules to make sure it never happens to you. Always know all aboard time, not departure time, because the ship usually leaves early. Stay within a distance you can recover from. The farther away you go, the higher the risk. Always give yourself a time buffer. Aim to be back 1 hour early, no exception. Most people don't miss the ship because they're reckless. They miss it because they cut it too close. Would you risk a private excursion or play it safe? Comment below. Missing the ship isn't the end of the world, but it does become your responsibility fast. Cruise line excursions provide protection, while independent exploring requires strict time awareness. My name is Shane with MapBound. Thank you so much for watching. Watch my 20 video series. It's not only beneficial for first-time cruisers, but seasoned cruisers as well. Check out my Facebook group for more daily trivia, as well as my recommended cruise product in the description for you. And remember, travel is life.